Hey guys, on today's episode, Jess and I are going to be discussing the introduction of peptides or GLP-1s into our daily fitness regimens. So we give some details on how we came about using them, some of the benefits that have come along, and just our overall experience. So take a seat, take a load off, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome into the show. How are you guys doing?
Hi guys.
So today is a special day. It is groundbreaking. Uh, it is what's the word I'm looking for? History making, I guess. We are doing our first. I was gonna say live, but they're always live because we're not. We're here present when we do record. But this is the first time we're actually going to be video recording our podcast.
So
So
if you're watching from YouTube,
hi.
hi.
And I promise we're going to be good actors, and this will be the only time that we look into the camera
We'll
because the
try to
camera's not there. We
yeah.
have to just
We'll
pretend
we'll try to pretend the camera's
it's
not
just
there.
us and not
You know?
millions of people watching us, right?
Exactly.
Because we have millions of people watching our videos, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Plus.
yeah. So if you're listening to this, because we're still going to post it on our normal podcast on Apple and everything, or wherever you get your
Also,
podcast.
we did upload all our audio
Yes.
podcast episodes now on YouTube. So,
Yes.
yes.
So if you were ever curious to see what our beautiful, I'll go ahead and say it, beautiful faces look like when you've been listening all these years, go ahead and you can catch us on YouTube at same name, something like therapy. So check that out. From this point forward, we'll always be
Yes.
videotaping or video recording our episodes. Um, so we decided to go with a topic that's kind of been very near and dear to our hearts, at least for the last, what, 8 months? Yeah, right?
It's
8 months.
been since October.
October, so 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
8 months
Yes.
now.
So we are going to be discussing our use of GLP-1s or peptides. And
Peptides.
I'm sure if you haven't been living under a rock, you have heard those being discussed and thrown around. Probably by the more common names as people know them, Ozempic. That's like the biggest one, the one that all the celebrities are on, right? So yeah, we're going to be discussing peptides, different ones that we have come across, that we have used, some that we haven't. But yeah, we just wanted to do an episode on that. It's been definitely a game changer when it's come to our weight loss and fitness journey.
Our health journey.
Oh yeah, just overall health.
Our health journey,
exactly.
for sure.
And that was one of the big reasons, of course. Of course, the number one, I was going to say consequence, but it makes it sound bad. The number one result from use of GLP-1s is, of course, weight loss, but there are a lot of underlying health benefits to it. And that is why we decided to give them a try, because it wasn't so much about like, ooh, let's just see how freaking skinny we can get.
Right.
Definitely not something, we were looking for. We're really big on fitness, on resistance training, on lifting. We did strongman in the past. So yeah, getting skinny is not something we want. Getting fit and muscular was something that we wanted. But we knew that with these medications, would definitely help in that area. So that's why we decided to go with it.
I like to say now that the side effect is weight loss.
Right.
Because I'm of course, initially one of the reasons we started this was because we had both been struggling with weight loss, and we had, I don't know, we've been dieting and working out for years.
Felt like forever. Like
Forever.
Decades, our whole life.
Our whole lives. I mean, at least I would say the last 8 years we've been pretty, I'm not going to say consistent, but we've tried our hardest.
Yeah.
For the last 8 years. And the last year or so, I think things got a little rough and rocky, and especially with us like quitting alcohol, it was it was a little difficult, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And anyhow, ultimately, this was something that it wasn't a decision we took very lightly. It was, or made very lightly. It was definitely something we thought about and we researched. And it took a lot of courage to take this step. And I honestly, anyone that does decide to take peptides or anything, even if you're going to start a new workout program, like do your research, don't be an idiot and just believe what people tell you, you know, just be smart.
I mean,
And
you definitely don't have to say that to me. I am the guy that will research
the
7
blender,
million
the
blenders and
blender.
toasters before we make a purchase. So, definitely something
Yeah.
that's going into my body. I'm going to make sure that it is damn near 100% safe.
Yeah.
So,
So let's kind of take it back really quick to where our weight loss struggle started. I don't, have we
uh,
ever talked about this? Did we ever talk about weight loss
weight
or
loss, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
I'd
I
have
don't
to
know.
check, but I feel like we've talked about so many different topics, but I know we've always wanted to do like a fitness health
Yeah.
episode, so maybe we did. I'm not 100%,
I
but
don't I don't
not
know,
specifically
but
weight loss or anything like that.
and I'm just going to say this right now, if you're offended by the F word, and I'm not talking about the 4-letter word, I'm talking about the 3-letter word, then I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. I might use fat a couple
Is
times.
there like a politically correct phrase for or like
Apparently,
obese,
it's just like
or
a, I
I feel like
guess,
obese is
but, and anytime I
worse.
use the word fat, I'm going to be talking about myself. So I don't want people, YouTube, I apologize. But I was fat.
Here, here.
I I start, you know, what's interesting is that when I was young, I was actually really, really skinny. And they used to always force me to like have protein drinks, and because I wouldn't eat. I was just very skinny and very thin. And I would get made fun of because I was just the skinny one out of all my cousins. And
Mm.
so it was kind of ironic that, you know, I ended up being as overweight as I was because I thought I was going to be skinny. Well, my teenage years hit and I started to gain a lot of weight. And I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've always struggled with like hormonal issues, and I've always had just issues with my cycle and all these things. Sorry guys for the men out there, but I just want to say what affects women as far
Yeah.
as weight and all
You guys
that,
have a lot more things going on that affect
which
your
I
weight and
can't
mood and
wait to make an episode on that because that's going to be so fun. Anyhow, I know I've always struggled with, you know, just hormonal issues. And I gained weight very quickly and very easily. And that has been my struggle since my teenage years. Now, you know, moving forward to my adulthood, and now me being a woman that is in that time where I'm getting close to menopause and all that. So it just got more and more difficult as time went on. And the only time I ever lost weight was when I was either beating myself up at the gym or I was in a very extreme diet. Like
yeah,
we did keto for about a year,
good.
year and
Yeah,
a
year
half
and a half.
maybe. And I mean we lost pretty good
Yeah,
amount of weight. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, well this is just what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to be on keto for the rest of our lives
yeah.
because I noticed that a lot of my inflammation was gone, you know. But realistically, anytime I had a carb, shoot, if I looked at a carb, like it was over, you know. So I knew that it was just not sustainable.
Yeah.
And
Well, we've always, I mean, that's how I began describing, keto to people was that it does work and it
mhm,
definitely will, burn fat and, get you to lose weight, helps with inflammation, like you
mhm,
mentioned. But to me, it's more of like a catalyst, kind of like a jumpstart
Right.
your health, jumpstart you being more conscious about what you're eating, how you're eating, kind of an
Mm-hmm.
introduction into like counting macros, because you have to obviously really count how much, how many carbs, you're limiting yourself to how many carbs you can have, so you're tracking those. So it kind of gets you into that way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, and again, I don't knock those that have been on keto for years. To me, it just doesn't feel like it's something that is like a lifetime thing. I don't think it's sustainable to
I
me to
knew,
keep stay on it
yeah,
forever.
I agree. I knew that it wasn't for me, at least not something that I could do for too long of a period because I ended up getting really bad kidney stones.
That's right.
And I knew it was, I mean, the truth is that we try our best to do keto in the healthiest way possible.
I was not. I was just eating bacon every day of my life, just bacon.
I try to incorporate as many vegetables as we could, but I think ultimately the reason why I ended up getting a really bad kidney infection and kidney stones was because I wasn't having enough fiber.
Yeah, that's
So,
something definitely you have to be aware of.
yeah,
Getting like Metamucil or whatever you got to do supplement
exactly.
wise to get fiber.
So, but even then, I just felt like I just knew like I can't do this for a very
Yeah.
long time. So, but what happened, unfortunately, was when I reintroduced carbs,
Mm.
my metabolism, I think, really got messed up and didn't know how to process, the starches and the sugars and all these things that I was consuming. So I'm almost positive, I'm not a doctor, but I'm almost positive that I caused myself to become insulin resistant.
Mm.
And I just became so sensitive to any carbohydrate or sugar. And I think from that point on, my metabolism was never the same. Like, it really caused a lot of issues. So that was, I want to say, about almost 8 years ago that we did keto.
Yeah,
It
like
was,
2012,
yeah.
13,
So
around there.
around 8 years ago, I think ever since then, I've just have been fighting this uphill battle
Mm.
that I never could successfully lose weight long enough to maintain it and to keep, a healthier lifestyle, or even just my cholesterol, my blood sugar, my blood pressure. It was just all these health issues that I have struggled with my whole entire life. Like, since I could remember,
Mm.
especially cholesterol. Cholesterol was something that I've struggled, gosh, since I was maybe in elementary. And I can remember my doctor telling my mom the first time, like, "Oh yeah, she has high cholesterol." And I know
Mm.
for me, it runs in my family, so it's not like something that wasn't like alarming, but I did start developing that at a very young age. So, my whole life, since I could remember, I've been overweight, I've had high cholesterol, and, later I just started developing like high blood pressure and all these things. And I just got to a point where, like, I got to do something.
Yeah.
It just, and I felt like we had done the best that we could. And I mean, we were successful, but then we would gain it. So
Yeah.
that's my little bit of my fat story.
I mean, and I'm sure most people that have been overweight, their whole life kind of all have that same very similar story where, started off as obviously as a child being thin, but then I think mine was probably a little bit quicker than yours because I think I probably started gaining weight even in early elementary. I was already starting to get chubby, like baby fat just never came off. It just turned into man fat or teen fat, I guess. But yeah,
And
same.
matured fat.
Yeah, experienced fat.
Experience.
But yeah, just and I don't in any way, don't say this in regard, to say like, oh, it's all my parents' fault. I'm just gonna blame everything on mom and dad. But just growing up, like I don't ever really remember restrictions on food and stuff, and days like summer breaks being at home, just having access to a lot of frozen foods and pizzas
Hmm.
and hot pockets and ice creams and whatnot. So
And sadly, a lot of people
yeah,
like
and
it's a normal thing that you
exactly.
hear
As
often.
a parent myself, like we want to just make our kids happy, and as we've kind of come along in our health journey, realizing our kind of our shortcomings when it's come to what we've allowed our kids to eat, and
Hmm.
it's a thin line that you walk with your kids, and you don't want to you know allow them to overindulge, but you also don't want to like restrict them or make them feel like they can't ever have anything. So it's like anything else, you're just always trying to find a balance, and just definitely something to always work towards on how you can help your kids to understand
Yeah.
nutrition, at an earlier age. And I'm not knocking my parents for not doing that. It's just hard. And so yeah, I gained weight early. By the time I was in middle school, I was already overweight, and I think that's probably where a lot of um, I don't want to use the word trauma. It's like, but I guess trauma's trauma, even if it's not, something very
Traumatic.
dramatic and traumatic. But that's where I began to, get bullied a little bit, being called names, where I kind of began to get like a complex about myself, my,
Hmm.
what is it, body dysmorphia, or
Hmm.
just
Your
body
image, your
shaming
body
myself, my
image.
body image. There you go. To where I knew I was overweight. I would see other guys my age, and obviously that weren't, and just like wanting to be like that, but then also not doing anything to help my cause. Because back then, going to the gym, eating healthy was the furthest from my mind. I was still
Hmm.
12, 13, 14 years old.
And being
Um,
raised in the 90s was brutal.
yeah, I felt like we
For
just had
anyone
all
that was
kinds of.
overweight, like, I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but just really quick, like, what the whole, just body image and things that so many of us millennials struggle with, it's because we were raised in the freaking 90s where you had to be so skinny to the point where like your bones were showing because that was just the only way that you could be beautiful or attractive, and how the body positivity movement didn't start until later.
It,
So it was brutal. A lot of
yeah,
us dealt with a lot of shame and a lot of bullying because it was like the standards of what beauty or being attractive were like very just unreachable, unrealistic.
and
So sorry, continue.
for my younger listeners out there, need I remind you that the '90s saw the invention of stuffed crust pizza. We had McDonald's used to sell fries by the
The
bucket. Do you remember
bucket.
the bucket of
Oh
fries?
my
Can I get a
god.
bucket of fries? Were words that you got to say when you went into a
It was
McDonald's.
like such a contradiction because that's when the whole supersize it
Supersize
and
me thing,
everything was
all of
just
it.
about like
I'm
overindulging,
pretty
but yet don't be fat.
yeah. Oh, that's always the case. Like even I
I
mean we
don't
have that now.
understand.
Like there's
Like,
so much
but at least
stuff, but
now being overweight is somewhat acceptable. I think it's starting to shift. I think we're starting to
yeah, I mean,
see
we'll talk
like,
about that maybe a little bit later
yeah,
or in
okay.
another
Yeah,
episode. But
you're right.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely that's beginning to shift. But yeah, like it was just brutal for a kid. I mean, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the Big Gulps also started in the '90s, right? Unless that was the
Oh yeah.
'80s.
Well, maybe late 80s, early
But
90s.
yeah, so it's just like
Yeah.
it just there was just so much to consume, and we're not even getting into like the different candies and stuff. But anyways,
We
it's
were
bad
set
now.
up.
Yeah,
That's just what we'll say. We
our
were set
generation,
up.
man. So yeah, that just kind of continued on throughout my teenage years, and then it didn't get better when I became a teenager and started going to high school. Where guess what happened in high school? Let's go start drinking beer, and let's start
Mm.
drinking alcohol, and what is this? What is this? This green substance you are putting into a pipe or
Mm.
rolling? Yeah, so it didn't get better with the parting years because that I was already not in the best shape, and that just kind of propelled me to another
Mm-hmm.
level. And then that just led into my 20s when we met each other, and yeah,
And your
we've
life changed forever.
oh yeah. But yeah, so just my whole life always struggled with weight, always felt and I know without a doubt in my mind that it pretty much it hasn't been until very recently, which I wouldn't want to say like within the last like 8 or so months, within the last year, where I've begun to understand like, oh, so this is what confidence feels like.
Mm,
This is how I should feel as a man in my body and feel comfortable in my body and like proud of myself. Like I could
mm-hmm.
never have said that before, just because I always looked at myself as fat and weak and just not attractive, not good looking. So yeah, definitely that is something that comes along. I mean, with you know losing weight, with getting fit, getting healthy, is that confidence that comes. And honestly, it really is. I want to say, like, I mean, because like Jess mentioned, we tried and tried and did so many different things, and we would have success, and we would get lose the weight and get strong, but then we would just fall back into things. But this so far has been a way that we've lost weight and have kept it off, and now have begun to really see what our bodies are transforming into. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we've never seen before, and I really don't think we would have gotten there without like the kick in the butt that peptides kind of gave us to move along.
Yeah. So I want to talk about real quick. Okay, so before I get into that, I want to talk about how we started taking peptides. So I have a really close friend of mine that had been taking it. I think now at this point she had been on it for about 6 months, and I knew she had mentioned that she was gonna start taking peptides, and I was like, I don't know, like it sounds, and I'm gonna be real and honest. I thought it was cheating. I thought because we had been doing it for so long, and we had again had successfully lost weight, but we just were never able to maintain it,
Mm.
right? So I was just like, no, this just, I don't know.
It didn't seem right. I remember when you had mentioned to
Yeah,
me and described how it's taken and how it's injected, and I was just like, oh no, like yeah, that's no, I don't think
yeah, it
that's
just
okay.
didn't, yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, we judged it. Just plain and simple. We judged it. We didn't understand
Like
it.
anything else, when you don't understand something, you judge it and just like, yeah,
Right.
it's
You
wrong.
dismiss
Or
it because it's just like, oh no. We were still very much about like, no, we're trying to do this. It's hard, but we're trying to
you
do
just have
this
to have
as
willpower and do
natural
it.
as possible, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And but I had gotten to a point where I wasn't just struggling with just weight. I was starting to deal with other issues, and I mentioned this in other, episodes about the inflammation that I was starting to
Joint
experience,
pain, all of that.
joint pain, and I just something felt off. I just always felt like I was swollen, and I just felt horrible all the time. And at this point, I had already kind of started slowing down on drinking because I knew that alcohol was a big part of the reason why I was struggling with so much inflammation. So, but I knew I had slowed down. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to make all the changes that I can think of making to cause this inflammation to, begin to lower. But it just was, I wasn't getting any relief. So, anyways, fast forward, I just one day woke up and I was just like, you know what? Screw it, dude. I'm just gonna do it. Like I did some research and I read on it for a few weeks and I was just like back and forth. The only thing I knew was that I didn't want to do Ozempic, and I just because so many people were having gastric issues, and I was just like I just don't want to do Ozempic. So I had heard about another peptide called tersepatide, and the results were a lot better as far
Staggering,
as,
yeah.
as far as like gastric issues, and the food noise reduction was, which I can't wait to talk to you guys about food noise. But all the things that were contributing to obesity, tersepatide seemed to have much better results.
Mm.
So I found out that that's what this friend of mine had been doing. And just a little disclaimer, we did not go through a provider for this. We did our own research and we decided to go the route of research peptides. Okay, so just let you guys know, do not hit us up for where did you get this because we're not going to respond. You guys are grown people. You can do your research about research peptides, and that's all I'm going to say to that. So, anyhow, we decided to go this route, and I told Derick about it, and you were like, hell no.
I was like, have fun with that.
Have fun with
Have
that.
fun growing an ear out of your forehead.
And I was like, you know what, dude? I'm to the point where I don't know what else to do. And we had just stopped drinking. This is what, about maybe 3 weeks or a couple weeks into like quitting drinking, right?
So yeah, we stopped drinking beginning of September, and this was in October. So it was a month.
So I think this was, I want to say in the beginning of October was when I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna order them.
yours, yeah, you began like the second or third week of October, and or second week, and then I was right after that, yeah. So third week.
So really quick, when we stopped drinking, my sugar cravings were so crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is one of the things that I think when you don't hear a lot about, or maybe you do, I don't know. I didn't know though, was that when you stop drinking alcohol, you crave sugar. Luckily, you didn't really get that, right? Like you didn't.
No,
really
not
get
too
many
bad.
Cravings.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm already a sugar.
Well, you're a sugar person. I mean, you love candy and that kind of stuff.
It got to the point where I know that you were like hiding candy for me, and I would go crazy looking for it because I was just like, I wanted nothing but sugar. So naturally, my weight started to creep up pretty bad, and that's when I was just like, you know what? I gotta do something. Yeah. The cravings are so insane. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's because of what I was going through with, quitting alcohol. But I think even then, I mean, we were under a lot of stress. We had just moved. We sold our house. Like, it was just a lot of things going on. So it was just a lot of quick and big life changes that brought on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So I think I had gained about maybe 15 pounds, almost about 10 to 15 pounds since we had moved here, and it had been about a month or so. So I decided to order this, and I started in the middle of October, and within the first week I dropped 7 pounds. I mean,
I remember.
I was like, what the hell? I mean, it was water weight, which I know because I was retaining a lot of water, and so not everyone has those results, but this is how much inflammation my body was carrying. So that changed your mind.
Yeah.
And immediately you were like, okay, let's order more. And you started using the vial that I had ordered. But what I realized, and really quick, I want to talk about food noise, because the first thing that I realized, and I thought, oh my God, this medication is a freaking miracle. Like, it is sent from God, and you guys know how we feel about that word. But I remember the first time you and I went to go have breakfast, and this was like, I think on the third day of being on tersepatide. We went to go have breakfast, and I remember sitting there and just being so present. Just so present. I didn't care about my food. I didn't care about what other people were ordering. I didn't care about when my food was going to come out. What did that person order? What's that over there? Like, I didn't realize what food noise was until I didn't have it.
Mm.
Because what I realized in that moment was that food was on my mind all the time.
And
From
that's most people, yeah.
the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, it's food. It's just food. And I don't know why. For me, I never considered myself someone that struggled with food, which is ironic because obviously I struggle with weight, right? So I found out very quickly that I had an issue with food, and just being able to be present and not feeling like food was taking me away from a moment that you and I were having, even if it was just breakfast, right? But being able to be there and sit with you and have a conversation and be fully present was so weird to me, which made me sad because I realized that there's been many times that we would go out, whether it was alcohol or whether it was food. We were never fully there with each other because there was always something else pulling us away from the moment,
Yeah.
right? Which I also really quick because I want to share your I want you to share your experience, but this also helped me with the alcohol cravings, which I know
And
that
that
they're
was
doing a
big,
lot of
yeah.
research on this where they want to use this for people in recovery because it does work. And I don't know if I would be as far as I am now in my sobriety if it wasn't for peptides.
Yeah. And that was one thing that just fascinated me, like, because you explained how the peptides work, how GLP-1s work, what they do, the different ones, different, um, areas that they affect or that they
Mm-hmm.
help or whatever. But it was fascinating to me that something could um, have an effect on in the body, like physically, in regards to like inflammation and helping different organs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also worked on a kind of like a neuron level in the sense
Mm-hmm.
of like stopping those food, like you said, the food noise,
Yeah.
stopping your brain from sending the signal of we need food or we're hungry. That's where I was like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. And to just think like something like it's a it's a peptide, it's something that
Right.
that we have inside of our body. um and so yeah, that was, it was just really weird to me. And I remember when I told you that, oh, now I get what you were saying about the whole food noise thing,
Mm-hmm.
because you really, your appetite, you just don't feel hungry or as hungry. And it really made me realize, a lot of the times I was just eating just to eat, and but and I suffered from that my whole life, just eating just to eat, and eating because I'm bored or because food tastes good. But always thinking about food, always thinking
Mm-hmm.
about like, oh, I want this, or I, just whatever. Like you just realize how much energy is spent on thinking about food
Mm-hmm.
and getting food and eating food. But that really does go away. And that was just something that was like such a game changer,
Mm-hmm.
because it really does allow you to like, because we're, big advocates on macro counting. That's what we've done for the past years now. Um, to me, that is like the best way, the best diet to be on is tracking and monitoring and understanding macros and what you need, and how much of everything. um, with removing that appetite, it really does allow you to like, okay, I'm trying to hit only so many calories a day, so many grams of protein, fats, carbs, and it allows you to do that and
Mm-hmm.
not feel like you're being deprived because you're just like, oh, I want more, I want more. Like, no, you just eat enough to fuel your workouts to get you through the day. And it was crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I mean, we just recently went back and we were, fortunately, very responsive to the
Mm-hmm.
peptides,
We were
because
hyper responders.
yes,
Yeah.
very, very much so. Because just recently, remember, I went back because we would log everything on our phones. We would have weekly weigh-ins, and we were measuring our body fat percentage and our weight. And I went back and I, was looking at, when we first started on the tracking, I put my starting weight, my starting body fat percentage, and what our goals were. And I was like, man, I didn't realize it, but it was like week either like 12 or 13, so roughly around 3 months that I hit my goal. And my goal was to lose, I think I was started at 213, and I wanted it, my goal I had set for 180, I believe. So what
Okay,
is that,
so.
like 20, 33 pounds? And 3 months, I
Mm-hmm.
hit that. And I didn't realize it, but the same week I hit my weight goal, I also hit my body fat
Mm.
percentage goal. So, um, and again, I hadn't thought about that, but it was just so crazy how quickly we were losing weight. And even though it's like common, obviously, for people to lose weight while doing it, we saw that it was like how we lost it was very, very fast, almost to where it was like, oh shoot, maybe we need to kind
Yeah,
of slow down
I
a little
think
bit.
some some people were kind of concerned, and you know what, I get why they were concerned because this medication can be abused very easily.
Yeah,
However,
we were
we
not, like, we were
we were
literally
not.
on low, like what is considered low, like almost borderline like micro dosing the medication.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what we were doing.
We titrated up very slowly. We started at 2.5, and I think the highest you ever got was
Three
3.5,
three five.
right?
Mm-hmm.
3.5. The highest I ever got was 4 milligrams. And, this was like in a span of what we just said, 8 months, right?
Yeah, so we've
We've
been
been
on it
on
for
it
about
for
eight
about
months.
8 months. So we moved up very slowly. We were very conservative with our doses because we knew we didn't want to. One, we didn't want quick results, even though we did get
Yeah.
we did get them. Okay, but I want to say too that we had the luxury to spend a very long time at the gym. First of all, second of all, we had already, since we had done 75 hard in the past, we were very comfortable with macro counting. We were very comfortable with tracking our food, weighing our food,
Mm-hmm.
measuring our food. This wasn't something foreign to us. So a lot of people struggle with that because they don't understand like what it actually takes to do this, and it takes a very long time to build that habit, but we were very comfortable with that. So I think that's one of the reasons why we had the success that we did, so quickly and so early on to our journey with peptides. But it isn't something you see all the time. People lose weight that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, it's because they are dosing very high,
Yeah, I remember
but you don't have to.
yeah, I remember like looking it up or asking you and then looking it up, and like, well, what's considered high doses? And you were like, yeah, people take up to like 15 a week. And I'm like, dang, we're barely on three, like 3.5. Like it was like, yeah, it's very, the low dose. And I get it. Everyone's body is different. And of course you have some people starting that are much heavier and probably maybe need a higher dose.
Hmm.
However, it's like I don't know. I mean, I am grateful that we were very, hyper receptive to it. But yeah, it was just kind of blew my mind a little bit, like that people were at such higher doses, and I was like, oh wow, like that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and I really do want to again just really emphasize on the whole dosage of it. If you can start as low as possible and stay low, you will be successful. You have to be very much, and this is, I want to go into the whole of this just being a tool and not the answer, because I know sometimes when you hear especially us, maybe the way that we tell the story, we're like, oh my god, this was God sent and it just changed everything.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. But the minute that I decided to incorporate this medication into my journey, I made the decision. One, I did it because we weren't drinking anymore, and two, I also knew that I was going to give it my all. I was not going to half ass this. I was not going to be like, well, I'm going to do this because it's going to help me lose weight. So that means that I can still eat, junk, or, still eat however I want. Like, no. if anything, I got even stricter with, my diet and my macronutrients, like tracking. And yes, I know some people would tell me, like, you're crazy, you can't live like that. I decided to make a very short amount of time sacrifice and give it my all so I can ultimately be able to live a life where I don't have to worry so much about everything that I eat. I wanted to make a sacrifice for a short amount of time so then I can reap the benefits of being able to eat food that I knew wasn't the greatest, but I knew wasn't going to
Yeah.
affect me, right? So I knew that I was going to go hard. And that's exactly what we did. This wasn't like something that, yeah, we're going to lose a little bit of weight, but then I'm just going to still live the life that I used to live. Like, for me, I knew that wasn't the answer.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
that's yeah, like and honestly, I think that was cool how you put it because it is true, a really good way how to describe it, where this is a tool as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
it being the answer. Um, and when you say tool, it's like having a gym membership or buying a treadmill or buying weights. Like it's something that you're going to use, but that you use it as a part of a whole regimen of what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing, working out, dieting, staying hydrated, taking supplements, vitamins, all of that. There are people that, you know, get on some sort of peptide and, like you said, just want to, like, well, I'm taking the shot, so it's a miracle drug. I should be able to still eat and drink and do whatever I want, and it's just going to do its thing. It's not the case. And again, like I know we wanted to discuss a little bit like the stigma and everything around peptides and why people are so against them and consider it cheating. And even though that blows my mind as to why someone would get so angry that someone's trying to actively trying to lose weight and to get
Mm-hmm.
healthier. But yeah, like it is kind of where people just kind of assume like, oh, I'm just going to take this and it's going to do everything. I don't have to do anything. Like that is why I truly believe that I don't ever look at anyone that decides to start taking peptides to lose weight as like, oh, you're cheating or that it's wrong and you're just taking the easy way out, because I experience it. Like you need to also be very committed to diet, very
Mm-hmm.
committed to working out, if you want to see actual real results. So if someone is taking a peptide and they are losing weight and they do look a lot fitter, trust me, it's not just taking a
Mm-hmm.
shot and like, well, it's one and done, just shoot it up and then you're good. There's a lot of work happening behind the scenes with that. So but yeah, it's definitely, and I know we'll touch on that a little bit more too, with like the whole how it's being perceived and kind of the debate
Yeah.
back and forth on whether it's okay or not.
And I think a lot of it, and I think a lot of the reasons why people have the opinions they do about, these particular peptides, especially peptides that are, around, losing weight and whatnot, because a lot of people do misuse them and do abuse them, but also because I feel that doctors overprescribe these medications and they're not being monitored. They're not being monitored how much should be, given, how much should be taken, the frequency of the medication. And it's just it's become such a thing because people think again that you don't have to change anything and you can continue doing what you're doing and still have the results that
Yeah.
that other people that are working really really hard to maintain their muscle, to maintain good bone health, like all these things that you have to really take into consideration anytime you're taking a medication like this. Because here's the thing, I just heard a podcast the other day about this doctor talking about the dangers of GLPs, and I was like, all these things that he was mentioning had nothing to do with GLPs. It was all malnutrition. It was all these things about losing muscle, losing bone, I think
Hair
the
loss,
hair loss,
like, yeah,
osteoporosis, like all these things that were coming up with this medication were because people weren't freaking eating. You
yeah,
know, anytime someone asked me about it, I'd be like, okay, are you willing to eat at least 100 grams of protein a day and get water? And even if you're not going to work out, at least go for a walk. Are you willing to do these
yeah,
things? Because if you're not, then you have no business taking
yeah.
this.
It's gonna do more damage
Yeah,
than good to
unless
you.
unless you are diabetic, or I know that there's other things, again, for me, that I struggled with high blood pressure and cholesterol. There is things that it can help, but if you're not careful and you don't educate yourself, you could do yourself some real harm by
Yeah,
taking these medications and not doing what you should be doing to prevent all these side effects that it can give you, which ultimately, again, like I said, malnutrition can do that as well. Keto can do that as well.
yeah,
Keto can cause a
exactly.
lot of issues because you're lacking fiber, you're lacking the glucose that your body needs to be able to function. Like, anyways,
And
I
that
digress, but I just want to say that this is why GLPs has gotten the reputation that it's gotten, because people are ignorant
yeah,
and people aren't.
abuse things like they abuse any
Exactly,
other
like
drug or
anything else,
medication.
anything
Yeah.
else.
And that is why unless you're someone where a little bit savvy onto um, medication administration, being able to you know no, I don't know how to say it without sounding mean, but if you dumb and you don't know how to do stuff
Are
and
you
read,
dumb?
yeah, like
You
you don't
dumb.
know how to measure things out and be responsible on how to take things, definitely go through a doctor for this.
Yeah.
Like Jess mentioned, we did get it from research sites, and we did research on those
Mm-hmm.
sites where they did numerous tests to, uh, you know, be very transparent in regards to the results of the purity of
Mm-hmm.
the peptides and everything, and making sure that they were safe. But it still does require the knowledge of when you do receive the medication, understanding how to mix it, understanding how to measure it out, understanding how to administer it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, people are, not as, I'm not saying we're geniuses or anything, but some people just are not capable of doing that. And either
Yeah.
they're either consciously or unconsciously or knowingly, I should say, or unknowingly, they will misdose and either give
It
themselves
is
too much, not give themselves
so.
enough, or just, mess things up. So again, if you know that you're someone that isn't savvy in that area or those areas, maybe you should seek out,
Yeah.
professional help in regards to
It,
getting it
it's
prescribed and everything.
so easy to under and overdose
Yeah.
on these medications. And another thing I want to say also is that we were also very honest with our doctors.
Mhm.
So I let my doctor know immediately,
Yeah.
I'm taking this, and
We got
I
lab work
we got
done,
lab
full
work
lab work
done.
to make sure.
Luckily we have doctors that were supportive, and they're like, okay, we'll check your blood work, we'll keep an eye on it. As long as you're doing your research, then I'm going to trust you, that you trust who you're getting this from. So I you don't have to be afraid to let your doctors know, your general doctor know that you're taking something. Just be honest. The worst thing that they can say is just you
I
have to stop.
recommend
I
that you
recommend you
don't.
don't do it.
That's about
Yeah.
it.
But honestly, they shouldn't deny you labs if you're requesting. You want to
Yeah.
check your blood sugar, check your
Yeah, just
cholesterol.
get a full panel and just make sure that
Yeah, keep
everything's
an eye
working
on your
okay.
kidneys, on your gallbladder, all these things. I say be as honest as possible with your doctor, because you have to be careful. You have to be
Yeah.
cautious, and especially if you're going, through the route of research peptides. Everything's a risk. Everything's a risk. So just be smart. Don't be an idiot. And yeah, I'm sorry. Our dog is just making an
She wants to
appearance.
comment on the peptides.
Yeah, anyhow, I just want people to be safe and to educate themselves. Yeah, again, anyone that comes to me and asks me, I immediately I open with those three questions. If they can't answer that question honestly as far as their nutrition and their activity, then I advise them to maybe, either try to, make be open to making those changes, or maybe just choose another route, because it is, you are running the risk of losing muscle, of your bones being affected, um because yeah, that's what happens when you don't eat, you know.
Yeah, like you said, it could be from any diet that you're on, or just if you're like trying to starve yourself, you will run into all those
Mm-hmm.
things, So it's not, um, it's like for that doctor, wherever you were watching that, to be like, it's because of peptides that are causing this. Like, no, it's caused by malnutrition. So,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
that's the whole thing too with like, a lot of people are just very anti peptides because they're just like, oh, they're new and they haven't been studied and you don't know what's going to happen, and it's like, people, do you not understand, like they have been using peptides for decades
Mm-hmm.
now. Like they have done trials after trials after trials on them. Now, of course, there's new peptides that are coming out that are still in, I believe, like phase 2, phase 3, that they're just continuing now because the trend, they're getting very popular, so the
I
demand for
can't
them is kind of
wait
going
to
up.
talk about
Yeah,
that.
so
Yes.
there's different ones that, yeah, maybe we'll
Yeah.
do a whole separate episode on the differences and everything. But
The
yeah,
cool
like,
thing about being on research peptides, I'll just say really quick, is that you get to kind of get first little glimpse into
yeah, for sure.
peptides that are going to be coming out.
Yeah,
So I'll just leave it at that. But we're excited to share
yeah,
our experiences with, many peptides. So
exactly. And again, it's just like anything else that you're going to start. I mean, if you're going to put something in your body, do the research on it.
yeah,
Make sure
yeah.
that
If you're
what
gonna take
kind of
a
results they're
freaking
showing.
supplement, I mean, we started taking, I think it's called boron, right? It's
Yeah.
something to help with like natural testosterone
Yeah,
levels,
use of
and
testosterone in your
right.
body.
And we read on it and we researched it, and there is some risks that come with taking boron. So you have to know how to cycle it. You take it every so often, and then you take a little break. So even as something as simple as that you can buy on Amazon or Walmart, do your research. Be smart. Don't just because some influencer says to take this, you're just going to take it. Like, no, you don't trust anyone.
I guess again, when you begin to lose weight, begin to get stronger, it really does unlock like a confidence in you, and it allows you to kind of see the work, the progress that you've made that you never were really able to see before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I know I've now just barely begun to see. And honestly, I think I wouldn't have been able to do it without peptides, because it wasn't just a matter of it helped me to, like, oh, it just made me lose weight. Like, I think the whole concept of the whole removing the food noise, curbing the appetite, it really allowed me to get rid of the bad habits that I had with eating,
Mm-hmm.
overeating, wanting to eat bad, all of that, and allowed me to create new habits
Mm-hmm.
without always constantly thinking about food, constantly being hungry. I kind of started the habit of getting used to eating only so much,
Mm-hmm.
eating just enough to fuel my workouts, fuel my day, to where now, and even as we began to kind of ramp down and go on like what's called maintenance doses, going back down to like 2 milligrams of a peptide, um, it really just allowed me to see that even without the higher, a little bit higher dose where it's curbing more of my appetite, I just naturally was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't really feel like I want to eat anymore. Like, I'm okay. So, because like they always say, it's, when you go on a diet and you lose weight, it's not so much like anyone can go on a diet and start to lose weight, but ultimately it comes down to it's a lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
change that you have to make. You have to change your relationship with food, how you see food, what it's used for. It's not a matter of like you have to give up everything. Like, no, you just have to find a balance, and that's the kind of the change that I feel I was able to make with peptides, because it gave me a chance to like calm down that food noise and allow me just to like build a whole new different relationship with food.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I know like forever I will have. And I know that if I were, to remove the medication from my life, I'm confident that I would be able to maintain the weight that I'm at and maintain this new relationship I've created with food. So yeah, it's just definitely been such a like, I know we said it's a tool, but it really has been the answer. Like just the answer I've kind of always looked for, my whole
Yeah.
life, and with trying to battle against
I want to say
being
something
big.
real quick before I give just what I feel like these peptides have done for me. And what you just said about removing it and continuing this, the healthy habits that you build.
Mm.
I agree. I feel that if for some reason just this medication were to be wiped off the face of the earth, I feel that we have gained enough knowledge and also understanding of how much food we actually need versus how much we were consuming in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree. However, I do feel that, and this is for the people that think that this is like you can get on this for 3 months and then get off of it, thinking that I'm gonna hit my goal weight and then I'm gonna get off of it. I don't believe that is a smart thing to do, because this medication does more than just help you lose weight. This medication helps with a lot of, hormonal imbalances. It helps with, inflammation. It helps with the cognitive, just the way how we think. And
Yeah.
it's, if you do your research on what this medication really is, you'll you'll think about it before you consider taking it for only a short period of time and then getting to your goal weight and then getting off of it, because I don't think that's how it should be used. And I know that's not what you were saying, but I'm just saying that for me, I feel like this is possibly something I will be on for the rest of my life. Even if I'm on a zero point 0.5 milligrams, right? Like I just feel that it's doing more than just curbing my appetite,
Yeah.
right? Like this is further than that, because I'm getting to the point now where I don't want to rely on the medication to suppress my appetite so much. I'm using it more, if I notice that my inflammation is starting to pick up a little bit, then I might reconsider either taking it a little bit more frequently,
Mm.
or, upping my dose, or, luckily I haven't had to do that. But again, that's when I realized that it's more than just about the appetite suppression. This medication touches so many other areas. I mean, they're even looking now into like Alzheimer's or dementia. It's especially in women that it is helping because
Yeah.
of the inflammation. So, anyways, again, we're not doctors. We're not in any way giving medical advice, but I'm just saying that this is why I think it's becoming the issue of how people are using it, because they think that it's just solely for weight.
Yeah.
There's so much more. But I just wanted to say that because I do feel that, and I know, again, I just say I know that's not what you were saying, but if we were to get off of this, I do feel that we have developed some pretty good healthy habits because we had to, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to add this to our already healthy lifestyle, and now we get to reap the benefits of the medication, right? So we were already doing that, but again, I think it not only helped us with controlling our appetite or being able to stick to our macros, but I think it really did change the chemistry of our like brain.
For
And
sure.
it just
Yeah.
it did something that I can't quite put my finger on it, but
Mhm.
I really do feel that it changed something within us, actually chemically in us, that we now, I feel, I'll speak for myself. I feel like for the first time in my life, I was able to prioritize my health.
Yeah.
I really truly believe it did something to the way that I think, to my brain. And I think there is some research on it. I didn't have time to look it up. But before I go on a rant on this, I just want to say I feel that what it did was completely shift the way that I think
Mm-hmm.
and see things. And I can't remember who I was talking to because they were asking me about the medication, and I told them, you're gonna start seeing things through a completely different lens, and you're gonna, for the first time, see what's actually important to you. And I don't know, it kind of sucks because, well, it doesn't suck, but I wish I knew if that was because we had stopped drinking also, or if it's because of the medication, or the combination of both, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do feel that I started to see so much more opportunity in my life because I felt like the things that were always getting in the way were slowly just melting away.
Yeah.
And sadly, a lot of it was alcohol and food, you know, and also, the money that we spent on alcohol and food, the time that we spent on going. I mean, it just, our world really opened
Yeah.
up a lot, right? So,
And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, if you someone may take hearing that and be like, well, that's very like vain of you guys, or just very self-absorbed that you only felt good about yourself when you looked good or when you lost weight. And it's like, look, it's you don't judge or base who you are and your self-worth on just looks, of course not, but there it's undeniable that when you look in the mirror, and if you are obese, overweight, unhealthy, sickly, you're not going to feel as good about
Right.
yourself.
Exactly.
But when you look in the mirror and you know that you've put in months at the, hard work at the gym, hard work of dieting, macro counting, staying hydrated, staying up on your vitamins and supplements, putting in the work, you have self pride. It's about being confident in yourself and knowing,
Mm-hmm.
like, I did this. I put in hard work. This is me. And it, like, that trickles over to all areas of your
Yeah.
life. It's not just like, oh, I'm physically strong. Like, you get stronger in everything, at work, in relationships, with friends, with your kids. You just become an all around better person.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with that. Like, it's not just like, oh, I look good, so I'm better than you because I look good. No, it's not about a matter of comparing in any way. It's just a matter of, do you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, like, hey, I want to get fit so I can take my shirt off at the beach. Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But it still comes down to, how do you feel? Because there are some fit people that still don't. They're still feel like crap. They
Right.
have other issues they have to deal
Right.
with. But what I'm saying is that, personally, I suffered from low self-esteem, low confidence, because knowing that it was a direct result of how I looked, because I didn't feel good. I felt overweight. I felt fat. I didn't feel attractive my whole life. And, you know, getting, becoming um, conscious of, like, wanting to be, fit, wanting to be healthy. It's like, again, it has unlocked something in me. It's released something in me to where, like, I am beginning to understand, like, oh, this is how I should have been feeling my whole life.
Right.
And one thing I did want to mention, or comment on, when we were talking about, like, being on the medication, or getting if we weren't around and you had to get off or something, it reminds me, because we came across that video, forgot where it was from, but they were asking, like, do you believe obesity is by choice or is it a disease?
Hmm.
And that really does speak to, like, why I believe peptides are so important, because you wouldn't go to someone who suffers from alcoholism and says, like, oh, you're just an alcoholic by choice. Like, alcohol and being an alcoholic has been proven to be, it is a disease that people have. It's in their genetics. It's in their it's just in them, where they're more susceptible, and how they handle alcohol and how they crave alcohol and how they need it is very different from how other people might, that are able to have few drinks here and there, and not go on a 3 day binge. It's something in their minds. I really believe that that's the same with food,
Oh,
because
for sure.
there are, I've gone through it my whole life, where I can't just have one slice of pizza, or eat pizza till I'm full. I need to finish the pizza, and if I know there's more pizza somewhere, I'm going to go get that one too.
Mm-hmm.
If there's cookies in the house, if there's candy, if there's anything, like, I know, and I have shared some of the things that I've done with hiding and eating, sneaking and eating, hiding food, and it's just, it really does become, and I didn't really dawn on me, like, yeah, that is something that I suffer from. It's a
Mm-hmm.
disease that I suffer from, or a disorder that I suffer from. And again, peptides has kind of cleared that up. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of allowed me, like you said, it just really allowed me to think differently about not just myself, but like how my relationship with food. Um, and again, some people may be able to eventually go down, on their dose to just maintenance, and maybe come off of it. Or there's nothing wrong with staying on a maintenance dose, because, like, alcoholism, it's for life. It doesn't go
Yeah.
away. You talk to anyone that's on a 12 step, and they're just like, no, I'm forever an alcoholic, and I will
Mm-hmm.
forever have to do these things in order to make sure I never relapse and fall back into that. And I believe it's the same thing with once you get over, like, starting a new relationship with food, that there's always that possibility of falling back into it, unless
Right.
you continue to always do what you have to use
Mm-hmm.
and utilize the tools around you, including any medication that's necessary to stay on track with it.
It's called maintaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like getting a membership at the gym, losing 50 pounds, and then quitting your membership and thinking that the results that you got, however long it took you to lose those 50 pounds, that the results that you got were just going to stay that way.
Yeah, no matter what I
And no
do,
matter what, you
that
can
weight
go back to
won't ever
doing what
come
you were
back.
doing, right? And you're never going to regain those 50 pounds. That's insane. You get your membership and you more likely keep that membership for the rest of your life, because now this is part of your life,
Yeah, it's
right?
just your routine.
This
It's
is your
what you do.
membership, right? So Tersepatide is my membership. I choose to be a lifetime subscribe or whatever freaking
User.
user of Tersepatide, because it's helping me.
Yeah.
And I'm not embarrassed by that. I'm not ashamed of that. I just feel that it's just going to be part of what I am already planning to do, in the future, as far as my workout routine, my diet, what how I go about, when these life changes begin to happen, especially as a woman, like, this is just part of what my life is going to look like in the near future.
Mm,
And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say that, this tersepatide has helped me get to where I'm at,
yeah.
but again, I just feel that, the more that you read up on this, you're always going to hear the pros and cons, right? Because there is cons,
Cons and pros and cons to anything and everything
right.
that you can do in life.
There is. And you know what, I'll just mention a couple of the side effects. We got some headaches, in the beginning. Sometimes when we increased our dose, we would get some headaches, or if we got a new provider, peptides, you can experience some changes. But and then another part is constipation. You got to make sure, again, your fiber, magnesium has been a great help for that. Dehydration, like, all these things that can happen
I
if
had that the 1 week where I had the Chinese accent. That was weird. It just went away though, so that was good.
The China peptides,
It was the China
they get
peptides.
you. They get you. Anyways, okay. So my point is that, just again, I'll never get tired of saying this, but just don't be dumb. Do your research,
Yeah, like,
and
that shouldn't even need to be said, but we
yeah,
want to just make sure, like, it's just sound advice. Do the research. Talk about it with your doctor. Like, bring it up. Hey,
yeah,
what am I hearing on these peptides? What do you think? And again, that may be for a whole other episode, but when you begin to research how much and how little some doctors know about
They don't know.
hormones
Well,
or
yeah.
peptides or any of that. Yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of crazy how much they're not taught about those areas, and they kind of just like give generic
Well,
answers
it's
when it
not
comes
their
to
fault
it.
though
No, that's what I'm
because they're
saying. They're
not
just not taught
educated,
it.
right?
Like in
Like,
medical school, I like we have a couple of friends that are doctors, and they've admitted like, oh no, we're not. Like when it came to like you had questions on hormones and with menopause and how did they what changes and all of that, and they were just like, yeah, don't know too much. I can Google it though. Like, and it's just like because they're not again unless they are a doctor that goes into that specialty
right.
and seeks out more education. But like just general MDs are not really going to be very knowledgeable on it. They know just the basics of things. And so yeah, it's kind of crazy, but still, you still want to ask your your PCP like, hey, what do you know about it? What am I hearing about that? And get some information that way too. So, but
I
yeah.
think that's our cue. Maya went to go get her
Oh
squeaker.
yeah, she's like that's the wrap it up squeak. But so that's exactly what we'll do, guys. I think we're probably gonna do some more episodes on this. There's like different topics,
Yeah.
different little pathways that we can take with it, and of course we'll continue to just update you guys
Yeah.
on how it's going with our journey on it. And now that we have video, you can see how
Yeah.
it's going. I wish we would have taken.
You can tell us if we get the Ozempic face.
Yeah.
Yeah, let
They
us
start
know
to
if
look
that's happening.
scary. So yeah, we definitely want to discuss it more on later episodes, but we wanted to at least address it first here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're glad that we now have video so we can, or at least you can see us.
And our fancy setup.
Yeah, right. Studio coming soon. But yeah, so we will go ahead and end here and hope to see you guys for our next episode. Not sure what our topic will be, but it'll be something interesting, I promise.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye. Really, Maya?